how casual and competitive players can play together. Get good 40k here to break conventional definitions of what you call casual and competitive. There are no such things as casual or competitive players. Let me explain. Whenever a casual is pressed to define themselves, they often then define themselves as the lack or opposite of the competitive player. Being less competitive is still competitive. You are still playing a game with the intention of winning, right? Whenever a competitive player is pressed for a definition, they can't really settle on anything, oftentimes avoiding the definition as hyper-competitive because that fits them into the win at all cost or the whack player, who often rely on gotchas or slimeball techniques that you can easily avoid by using my pre-game talk in the video here. So instead of saying a player is casual or competitive, treat it more like a sliding scale. I'm very competitive, but I will always run Karn the Betrayer in my list no matter what. If there are 1 million Karn lists, one is mine. If there is one Karn list, it's mine. If there are 0, then I am dead. Karn is love. Karn is life. Since both players want to have fun, and both are trying to win, to varying degrees, instead of placing people into these two restrictive boxes, I'd rather throw those definitions out and instead focus on the goal of the game and what each player is trying to achieve by playing. Are both players just wanting to relax and roll dice? Are you trying to play a narrative or storytelling? Are you trying to get some tournament practice in or trying a new list idea out? Establishing the goal of the game is the first step in figuring out how to set it up and have a good time. If both players are looking for competitive practice, take the gloves off and get swinging. Pre-game talk is normal and establish ground rules and expectations. I, personally, when doing competitive practice games outside of a tournament, simply let things happen, for the sake of getting good practice in. For example, if your opponent fails a 4-inch charge with a reroll, are you really getting good experience into their list? Let them push it in and pretend they rolled a 5 to see how you can survive it. Again, this is something you can establish in the pre-game talk. Another example of pairings is trying a new list or faction out. Yes, you both can still be very competitive good players, or casual and just wanting to have fun, but this sets the expectation for your opponent to take it easier on you and maybe even let you have a few takebacks such as redeploys or rearrange some things, as the eureka moment of how to pilot this new army or list comes to you after turn 1. I can't emphasize this enough, but this must be communicated in the pregame talk to manage expectations. This can also prompt your opponent to try a different army, or maybe a different list, so that you're on somewhat of an equal footing.
One of the hardest ideas for people to accept in Warhammer 40k is that if you have two people with opposing goals, one wanting to be very competitive and one wanting to be very casual, that maybe the two of them simply shouldn't play. Some games, if I'm paired against someone who wants a more casual gameplay, but I'm wanting something more competitive, is I will leave Angron in reserves. By leaving Angron at reserves, I am essentially stress testing my army and playing 1500 points into his 2000, so he can still have a casual game with an upper hand, and me being the underdog can try and think my way out of it and get some good competitive practice.
The purpose of this video is to help bridge the gap between casual and competitive players so everyone can get good. Also, check out these links over here for our merch in our Webstore. All of the profits go to making more content which support the channel and ensure that my animator is watered and fed. You don't want my animator to starve, do you?